Hello, my name's Kareem Harvey, and this is my story of how I joined Aptive and how it went for my first actual summer. Um, so, real quick, I was talking to a friend of mine. I was doing solar at the time. It was quite difficult because I didn't know exactly how to sell door to door. I was just kind of winging it. And I'm not a young pup anymore. I'm 42 years old. 41 at the time, 42 now. And I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way. I have to figure out how to be good at what I do in order to be successful. So what I did was, I was talking to one of my good friends, and he reached out because he was actually struggling for some money. He reached out to a guy named Brendan Yaki. Well, Brendan actually works for Aptive. He's one of the leaders there. At the time, I didn't know how important this guy would be to my life, but we moved on. Him and I had several conversations about what Aptive was like, what the environment was like, what the training would be like, everything that you could think of. I had questions for, and I asked him, and he basically lined it out for me. Come to find out, Brendan's been doing this for over 7 years. I won't say 8, but I'll just say over 7. So, over 7 years, and he knows the ins and outs of Aptive. He's been through, all the growth where they were doing everything on paper, and now we have an app. So, after training with him and Brad Barker, he's his right hand man. I had a decision to make. I had a decision like, should I stay here and continue to work at AT&T and sell solar on the side, or should I, take a chance on myself? So I literally packed up my truck with way too much belongings, but anyway, packed up my truck and I, talked to Brendan, agreed to everything, and I drove to Vegas. It's a 21-hour drive. I split into 2 days. Finally got there. Brendan had me set up in his casita at his house because the apartments weren't ready yet because we were in preseason. So I sold in preseason, did pretty well, especially for my first time out. I basically did exactly what he told me to do, and in doing that, I did fairly well. The following month, in May, when the season actually started, I did even better. Was actually up there with the top rookies. Making anywhere between 3 to 5 sales, a day, which was unheard of for me, especially, in the door-to-door space. After all that was said and done, I had a couple of trials and tribulations, had a couple bouts of self-doubt, because, obviously you're saying the same spiel over and over again. And some days you have a good day, sometimes you have a bad day, and I was very critical of myself. And the one thing that Brennan always told me was to trust the process. It's a numbers game. I think I looked at my stats not too long ago. I knocked over 17,000 doors, and I sold 279, almost 280 accounts, serviced. I sold more than that, but I only count serviced accounts. So that just shows you, it's a volume game. And once I got that into my head, it made it a lot simpler, especially towards the end. The one thing that really had me push towards the end, I think I was right at 120,000 in revenue, and at 150,000, I get a salary the following year in 2022. So I'm here thinking, okay, 30,000. I mean, basically, if you did multiply that times two, and then divided by 1,000, whatever it comes. Well, it comes out to basically 60. I needed six. I needed still 60 because it's about $500 per account. So I had to sell 60 in order to get to my goal. I'm like, okay. So what do I get next year? And he's like, you basically get 10% of whatever you sell this year, as long as you hit the 150 and above. Actually ended at like 151, almost 152. So quite proud of that. So went ahead and continued on with that, and continued to sell. I had a couple rough weeks, actually a rough month, But in the grand scheme of thing, when you look at the numbers, it was rough for me because I had such great success in the beginning, but I was on track, basically to hit my goal. I felt as if I could have been and might have been able to do better. But again, you have to have that mental fortitude. And that's one thing that Aptive, at least door to door teaches you. You have to be mentally sound in order to do this job. Can't, waver and, second guess yourself. What I did to help myself be more successful was at a door, I would, say my pitch, and sometimes I would say it incorrectly, or I wouldn't do it the way Brendan taught me, and I'd catch myself and I'd walk to the next door. Okay, don't say that. That's not part of the training. Say this. This is what you need to say, and then I'd say that at the next door, and then lo and behold, boom, I get a sale. So again, it's just one of those things where you trust the process. The reason why I left in the first place is because I was only making like $500 every 2 weeks at AT&T, and then barely making anything in solar. Had an apartment, still have an apartment. This is my apartment. Responsible for paying rent on that, and I was just digging myself a hole. Fell into debt. I mean, it was a really bad look for me. Went from a 700 credit score all the way down to I think it was right at a 490, somewhere in there. And that's just because I had more debt than I had income, and it caught up with me. I had lost my job in the oil field prior to that, so that was, the first domino that fell because COVID happened. Then I got into solar. Solar was pretty good for a little bit, but then it started fading off. And then, this opportunity fell in my lap. So, like I said, I took advantage of it. And now I can proudly say that my credit score is up to a 560, and that's over 6 months of work. While I was in Vegas, I had an anchor of a truck, paying $780 something a month on this truck because I was upside down and all this other stuff. And the thing that I like being the most is surrounded by like-minded or forward-thinking people who get it. They see the numbers and they just go, the numbers say to do this. I'm a very analytical type person when it comes to that. So when me, Brendan, and a few of my team members sat down, I was like, okay, this is what I'm paying, da da da. And then, it's one of the people I sold was like, hey, I work at CarMax. they're paying big time for trucks right now. And I'm like, oh, man, but I still need my truck. And I was all about keeping this truck thing. Then one weekend we were like, screw it. We were in a certain area. We were right near CarMax. I went to CarMax and they were like, I owed like $12,900 on my truck. They said they'd give me 14 for it, and I was like, I didn't even really second guess myself. My teammates actually, they were like, hold on. I was like, you're about to get rid of your truck? But the way, our team works is that we all pitch in, when it comes to driving. So I can't drive my truck every single day. First off, it's hard to park. And then second, it guzzles gas. No one wants to pay gas on a big ass truck. So, I would ride with others and, pay them gas or whatever. So I didn't even really need a vehicle. Now, granted, there was the stuff of me bringing all my stuff there, but, that is an easy solve, right? So I was able to offload a $12,000 debt anchor and then get caught up on another credit card. So right now I'm in good standing with my previous bank credit card company. And, it's all because, you surround yourself with people who, you have to or I want to surround myself with people that I wanted to be, so a person that I wanted to be. Brendan's an entrepreneur. Not only does he work for Aptive, but in the off season, he has a moving company. He also has a carpet cleaning company. And, he still sells Aptive because obviously he's in that space. So if somebody's like, oh, I'm dealing with roaches. Oh, okay, well, I still, I also do pest control. And the greatest thing about that is, he automates everything. So, that's where I want to be in the future. These guys also get into real estate. And I'm actually starting up into real estate now. But they were like real estate investing. I'm just, also investing, but on a lower scale. But it's great to have this direction now when before I was pretty much lost. So, if you're at all on the fence about, what your future needs to look like, or, how you feel you want to, move forward in life, sometimes you have to take a step back. I'm not going to sit out there and knock my head against the wall trying to figure out how to do door-to-door sales when there's a platform like Aptive that I can tap into, and the people like Brendan and Brad and Mark, one of the guys that work with us and all that. These guys we can tap into. Mitch Fry, he's our regional, and better yourself. There's no better way to move forward than, again, surround yourself with successful, like-minded people. And I've never been so clear in my life on what direction I want to go in, and how I'm going to get there. My next, now that I'm a leader, because the other thing that comes along with hitting 150K is that you get to be a team lead now. So I have been continually recruiting here in the off season, and talking to a few. Actually have a meeting tomorrow with a few of the guys that I used to do solar with, and they're struggling. And I want to be that person that Brendan was for me, for them. I want to be able to offer them something that will, get them back on their feet, and then give them a goal, or at least give them the idea that there is a goal out there for them, like there is for me. So that's basically my story in a nutshell. Trying to see if I'm leaving anything out. Oh, duh. Sorry. So, as I was working for Aptive, just giving a little bit of background on the pay. I got paid it was something like every, like the 1st and 15th, and they switched it to every other Friday, which is great. And then there's 2 back-end checks. So there's a check in like late October, I think it's like October 25th. You'll get, or I'll get a release of all the money that I made. And these people have to stay active through November 30th, which is great. And with this, the sales that Brendan teaches you, you're able to build rapport really great quickly, and then also have them trust you that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and that bodes well for people staying on for the entire time. I think my cancellation rate was something stupid like low, like 8%, which is almost unheard of. And then multi-years, that's another thing. So I get paid this year for all the stuff that I did this year, but all the multi-years, like we do 1 or 2 years, I had I think it was up there high, like a 70% multi-year rate. So the next year when I join up again, I get automatically half of what I would have gotten if I had sold, like say I sold a 1 year, let's say it was like $150. I get half of that now, which is $75, because I got the 150 this year while I got paid, and then next year I get basically a free $75 per account that I put out there, which is whatever 80% or 70% of 272 or 279 accounts. So that's amazing in itself. And then so I was saying the first release is October 25th. The second release is December 25th. So those 2 checks come in. I'm able to, afford my life, invest into, carpet cleaning, one of the businesses, or moving. That's another one of the businesses, and, just grow my entrepreneurial brand, and I think that's amazing. So, again, if you're one of those type of people that, you've always felt that you're an entrepreneur, you wanted to be able to work for yourself and forge your own way, but you just kind of needed a platform, or even just the skills. I would wholeheartedly tell you to join Aptive. It's one of the best choices I've ever made in my life, and I look forward to the future with Aptive. Seeing what next year is going to bring with recruitment, and then the following year recruitment again. Also growing my businesses on the side. working with Brendan to help me automate everything. I think it's just going to be a great experience all the way around. So with that, I'll close, and I appreciate your time, and you have a good one.